Hello, welcome to Berkswell, where we have a feast food festival planned for you, consisting of two parts, one being a beer festival and the other a food fair. And we want to take a moment to introduce you to this as we stand in this beautiful location right behind me. We do this in partnership with the Warwick Network for Parish Research and, above all, with the community of St. John the Baptist. And I'm very pleased and honoured to have here the rector of this parish, Dr. Mark Bratton. And I wanted to ask him, what were your reasons for getting involved in this project?
Well, we have, for the last 7 years, I think, had twice yearly beer festivals here at St. John Baptist. I thought a good way of getting people from the local community who were not churchgoers into church to enjoy the numinous and beautiful space was by putting on a beer festival.
And here we are now in the Crypt, the oldest part of the church, and it's very rare for churches to have this surviving. You can see this sort of particular Norman architecture. We can see that this was possibly used as a shrine, possibly used for visiting pilgrims. In many places there would be vaults of people who are buried here. So it seems a good place to ask you, Mark, why on earth would you want to hold a beer festival in such a fantastic church?
The people who seem to be most adamant about the use of sacred space tend to be people who actually don't inhabit the sacred spaces regularly. I think that religion has always had a vertical dimension and a horizontal dimension. The vertical dimension, of course, being our relationship with God, but that in most religious traditions is inextricably bound up with the horizontal dimension, which is our relationships with other people.
One of the frustrating things I find is that people often treat food and drink separately. So one of the things we wanted to do is to bring them together here. That's why we have the beer festival on the one day and the feast food fair on the other one. So to see that actually these things are connected like they are in a real-time meal, where you have something to drink with your food. And I think that's one of the things that we're really trying to push, and also in food and drink studies more generally. And I think we realize when we study parishes, as we do in the Warwick Network for Parish Research and its online platform, My Parish, is that it's very difficult to separate the secular and the spiritual sphere. And I think food is one of these things that allows us to translate it and see the connections between the two.
Yeah, my name's Val Dillon. I am part of Warwick and Leamington beekeepers, and I have been keeping bees for over 20 years. This church is absolutely amazing, and we've never ever showcased beekeeping in a church before. We do a lot of shows across the county, and it's great to go to lots of different places and to talk about our bees. But to come here is just a completely new experience, which will be really, really wonderful. There are lots of beekeepers in this area, and I hope that people who aren't beekeepers will come and talk to us, because even if they don't want to be beekeepers, they can do a lot to help the bees. People are realising that bees are not endangered but in peril, and people are responding. So they can grow flowers that are bee friendly. They could get involved in rewilding so that we turn our country a little bit back to how it used to be. And if they can't do that, they can certainly enjoy eating the honey.
Yeah, I'm Stephen Fletcher, and I'm a farmer from Berkswell, and we make Berkswell cheese at our farm. I think cheese is it's a very sociable food. It's really nice to get together, have cheese on a cheese board during a meal. We'll just have bread, cheese and wine. And there's such a range of cheeses now, particularly produced in the UK. I mean, we can rival anywhere in the world now with our selection of cheese. You don't have to buy foreign cheese to get superb cheese. Well, I'm really quite excited by the fact that we can sell Berkswell in Berkswell. And the church, for me, has quite a lot of memories. I attended Berkswell Church of England School. I was married in the church. We've got family buried in the graveyard. So the family have had a long association with Berkswell and the church, and it's such a beautiful church as well. But I think you go back in history, churches were very much a central part of the village, and an awful lot went on in a church, not just worship. A church is the centre of a village, and if you've got something like this event going on, where better place to hold it?
My name is Seren Quinn, and I'm a PhD student in the Department of History at the University of Warwick. I'm working with the Berkswell Parish and the University of Warwick Food GRP, and we're putting on an event that is the Food Feast Fair, in which we are bringing together the community to celebrate food and feasting and having a great time. These days we tend to think that alcohol is the key part of social life, of bringing people together. But in the early modern period and the medieval period, we actually have a shift from a culture that was fairly alcohol-based to one that in Europe is beginning to move towards these drinks like hot chocolate especially. This is the earliest hot drink that's been introduced to Europe that's not alcoholic particularly. At the Food Feast Fair here in Berkswell, we're going to be serving up hot chocolate that is to a historical recipe, so that people will be able to have the opportunity to consume hot chocolate as it would have been in the recipes from 1685. And this contains chili and orange peel, and it's something that perhaps people won't be familiar with. But it's to bring back this reminder that feasting and festivity and coming together as a community around in these cold winter months around something that's warm and that really comforts us is something that's gone back centuries, if not millennia.
So here we are in the body of the church, and we've completed our little panorama of introductions to the Feast Food Fair. So I wondered, Mark, do you have any sort of final message for our viewers?
The take-home message, Beat, is that everybody is welcome here, whether they're a religious believer or not. This is as much a part of their history as it is those who call themselves Christians.
Okay. So you heard the message, you're very welcome. I hope we managed to whet your appetite a bit. Parts of this church were built literally on beer through the revenues of the church ales of the Middle Ages, etc. So if you are interested, if you're intrigued to maybe sample a little bit of ale in the body of a historic church, then do go on the Eventbrite site, which is accessible through our Feast webpage. There you see that the Friday tickets are just £10, which includes 4 tokens that you can spend on the night. Saturday entry is free, but please still register if you want to attend. So it would be lovely to see you on the occasion, and all that remains for us to say is cheers, and hopefully see you there.
Cheers.